Okay, we're live. So how is it going? Welcome, welcome. Thank you to anyone who joins. We're gonna get started, let people get in. In the meantime, as always, which by that I mean as the last time, which was the only time I did live before this one, let me know that you can hear me. Let me know in the chat. I'm gonna actually write it down. And I have a nice setup this time so I can actually see your chats. Why, if you can hear me. Get in the meantime, as always. I'm gonna need to shut down the iPad. So, let's see what we got here. So, I'm gonna tell you a bit about the different setup that I have and how it makes life a little more easier and more comfortable. So basically I have the iPad here and I can see the stream. Welcome. I see we have 12 people in the house. Let's see what we got here. Let me know if you're alive in the chat. And I'm going to tell you about what we're doing now. What I want to do in this live stream is basically do the Washtober prompt for today, day 8 of the challenge, which is instinct. That is the word. Let's see what we have here. So in the chat, Alison Conway, hi Liron from UK, in the drizzle, I can hear you fine. Perfect, Bruce. Thank you so much for letting me know. Hey, Julio, how are you? Is it Julio? Let me know how to pronounce your name. It says, hi, good morning. Good morning to you. I decided to stick with the previous, the same time as the last live stream. Let me know after the fact, in the comments, in the chat, what you think about this time. Again, I do want to make changes, but I'm going to do them gradually. So one change I did do today, so let me show you. I have my trusty iPad here with me, you can see it. This is huge. So in the last live stream, which was my first live stream on YouTube, one of the biggest things I realized was that it's really hard to juggle between the screens. I really need to see the chat the entire time and be connected to it. And because I'm looking at this screen in front of me to figure out what you see in real time, I really wanted a separate monitor for the chat. So I have my trusty iPad here. Has helped me in many, many ways in the past, and now it's going to help me to see the chats live properly. So let's see who we have in the house. We have Marjorie Johnson. Hello from New York State, I would assume, USA. Thank God. New for diversion to our politics. Yeah, I believe you had the VP debate, right? I'm actually caught up. I watched the previous one, the Trump Biden. I want to watch this one. I hope to watch it maybe later after this stream. Who do we have here? Viggo Jar. Hello from Sweden. Hey, my friend. Thank you so much for joining. Hey, Susan from South Florida. Marcia Lane, nice to see a live stream. Thank you. You got it. Lynn Fetzer, good morning from New York. Polis Arts, what's up? I'm good. How are you? Ritu P, hello from India. Logged out early from work for this live session. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And I hope you will enjoy this with me. John, my friend, how are you? I believe you need to bail out after an hour. That's perfectly fine. I will try out different hours and we'll see. We have Julio from Canada, Patio 87 Chicago, Donna Bowman, great morning from Virginia, USA. Okay, thank you so much. We have 44 people in the house. Amazing. So I'm going to talk a bit about what we're going to do today. I'm going to repeat what I said about the setup because new people are joining. Basically, right now I can see our comments properly. I actually have my reference taped to the wall above the monitor so I can see what I'm painting. What we're going to do today is paint this, and this is day 8 prompt of the Washtober challenge. Today's prompt, the word for today for the challenge is instinct. So it's kind of like the Inktober challenge if you're not caught up. Basically, I give you a prompt every day. Everything is on my Instagram, and I also shared a link, I believe, in one of the recent videos. Today's prompt is instinct, and I was really considering what I want to do for this one, what I want to paint. Initially, I wanted to do like a grizzly bear catching a salmon, jumping through the stream, but obviously I couldn't find a really good photo for that I feel comfortable sharing here because I'm using, royalty-free, copyright-free pictures, and I didn't want to use something off of Google. I'm using Pixabay for that, which I talked about in a previous video. So I started looking at ideas, and then I thought, oh, I'll do a bird of prey. So we're going to do this. I don't even know if that's a hawk or an eagle. It's not an eagle, but you let me know what it is. And we're going to paint it. You can find a link to the reference photo in the description. Let's see, make sure. Yes, you can find it there. If you want to paint along with me, it's going to be fun. I'm not necessarily sure if we'll finish the entire painting, so it's just for us to chat, hang out, and whatever we finish. I will definitely post the final result on YouTube, on Instagram, and all the different places, so you will be able to see it. And I'll talk about what my plan is for this painting. Last stream, I talked about a lot of things, and I answered some questions, and I created something that's more illustrative. It was markers, it was pen and ink. This time I really wanted to do something that is watercolor oriented, because I know most of you probably are interested in watercolor. Let's see what we have going on in the chat real quick, and then we'll be back to start working on this painting, which I hope you'll enjoy. New Getak, hi from Dallas. Mark Spall, hi, watch you all the time to relax and get inspiration. Love it, man. Thank you so much. That's the best I can ask for. If I can help in that way. Polis Art, thank you for doing the live stream. Looking forward to this. As I promised, I will keep this one up as well. There's no reason to remove the live streams. I'm just going to leave them here so you can come back, watch them if you... It's going to be like an hour or two, so I'm not expecting you to sit through the whole thing. Definitely feel free to catch it later on. I'm going to keep everything up. I don't see a reason why not to. Beth McCarthy, morning, looking forward to watching from Southwest Florida. Thank you so much. Lynn Hall, UK at work, sneaking a peek. Sure, feel free to visit occasionally and then watch it later on if you want to. John, I really do appreciate you here. Thank you so much, my friend. John Franklin, hello from Des Moines, Iowa. Cool, Iowa. We have from pretty much everywhere in the US and from outside the US. Mark Spall, thank you for being you. That's the only thing I can do. Turbo Pushel Pogo Kuschel. Hello and good afternoon from Deutschland. Thank you so much for joining. This is really cool. Bruce Gamberling, I would like to know if you do any constructive criticism on our Washtober Instagram watercolor works. I don't give public constructive criticism usually, unless someone blatantly asks for it. By the way, I see that the video quality is fluctuating. Let me know if there's a problem, if something is stuck. I usually do critiques privately if you send me an email, so you can send one to Liron at Lironian.com. I'm going to write it down, Liron at Lironian.com. You can send it there, and I'll definitely see it and try to do my best to give my critique. Just because, I don't know, critiques are complex, because you don't want to, first off, you want to encourage the person. That's the first goal, I would say. Second, I would say that there isn't really one right or wrong way to do things, so it's my perspective. So I always try to frame it that way. You do you, here's where I'm coming from. So that's really important. Let's see what else we have here. So if you want to just send me an email, Bruce, Marjorie Johnson, love this subject matter. Wish that yesterday you had put out the subject for today. Will be a struggle for me to do the bird and follow along. Yeah, feel free to do it tomorrow. I actually cheated. I'm going to show you a couple of my Washtober paintings up close, and I prepared Saturday's one in advance for video, so don't worry about that. John, great idea for instinct. Thank you. Yeah, animals have instincts, unlike us, where we lose them. Marjorie, the beak is for a seed-eating bird. I don't know, is it? You tell me. I think it's a predator. John, thank you for keeping the live streams. Adriana, yay, I made it. Hi from New Jersey. Cool, New Jersey in the house. YM, instinct was the prompt I struggled with the most, but I got it done in the end. Yeah, it's, you know, the more vague you go, the more challenging it's going to be. So here's what we're going to do. Let me show you the reference real quick. I'm just going to remove it from the wall in front of me so you can see it. It's just this. It's this bird of prey. So here's my goal for this. If you look at the reference, the bird is clearly in the focus, and that's what I want to emphasize. I really want to show that the bird is in the focus, the rest is blurry. On the other hand, I also want to connect everything together, merge the different elements of the painting. On the other hand, we're doing this live, so obviously my results may suffer. I'm going to do my best, whatever result it's going to be in the end. I'm going to try, keep it interesting, make it, you know, fun. And here's the work process we're going to go through. number one, I'm going to do an initial wash that will cover everything. It's going to be a really flat wash, okay? Now the reason for that is these highlights, if you look at the original pic, just visit the link in the description box, you will see that the original reference with the colors and everything, this isn't really white. It has a bit of a color to it, and it's a beautiful color. It has a bit of warmth to it, of the feathers and the sunlight. I want to convey that. So I'm going to do an initial wash that's fairly loose, fairly merged together, covering everything up. I may go a little darker here, but this is really an underpainting in the truest form, and this is what's fun about it. It's just an underpainting. We're going to paint the simplest first wash we can. Okay, so let me show you how I'm doing this. I'm going to take my huge Leonard brush, size 6. Someone informed me, I believe on the previous live stream, that mop brushes have different sizes to them, so it may even be a 9. Honestly, I'm not sure. But it's the equivalent of a 16 to 18 size, I would say. So here's the thing, with these fat brushes, the first dip into the water, they're still a little hard here. So what you want to do is scrub it a bit in the bucket, which you can't see. It's outside the frame. These are things I will hopefully improve in the future. In the videos I don't show it, so, you know, whatever. And I'm just going to start with whatever I have here. And the beauty of keeping paint on the palette, you know, letting it dry, my notoriously dirty palette, is that you can use it to create beautiful neutral values and neutral colors and in mid values. And this is why I just keep it like this. Honestly, I don't care about cleaning the palette at all. So to this weird mix, I'm going to start injecting some paint. Now we're going with warmth here. And a lot of people are worried. If I'm going to add yellow, I'm not going to get a pure yellow, because look at what I've got here. It's just an ugly, muddy color. But let's see, the hook on the beak. I forgot the hook. You're right. Marjorie, I'm going to fix it now. So let me see if I can get a pencil that actually has lead in it. Let's fix it. Look at that. Now it's a predator. It's a super predator. So hopefully that helps. We're spontaneous around here. So what I'm going to do is add yellow. A lot of people are going to be worried about adding the yellow. Will it? I'm going to add some angle just by putting this roll of masking tape. A lot of people are worried about whether you know, it will be a muddy and ugly mix. Well, if you overpower it with the yellow, as I've shown you in one of the recent videos, it's going to be just fine. So let me show you. I'm just going to pour in some yellow here. Maybe also a bit of burnt sienna, because I do want some warmth. I'm going to bring out a little piece of test paper so we can see what we get. And I don't know, that's a nice color. It's not muddy at all. We're using the initial mask that we had here, but we don't have to rely just on that. We're going to overpower it with some more colors, okay? And it's going to be a fairly warm wash. So I'm going to get started. We'll see how it goes. From the top, this is the definition of an underpainting, so we don't have to worry too much. And by the way, I know you can't see the corner. Sorry about that. Here it is. And the beautiful thing about doing these under washes is, and you're going to keep it light, because these are going to be highlights, some of these areas. The beauty about it is you have a lot of time. You have a lot of time to react to what's going on the paper. You're not under pressure at all. You have your water sprayer. You can just spray on it, keep it wet. Just go like this. And you can really get the result you want slowly, gradually, no pressure. So here's what my main plan is. I'm applying this kind of a mix neutral wash to pretty much everything, but for the bird I'm establishing some stronger colors. Now it doesn't have to be accurate at all, but remember that this is going to show through. This initial wash is going to show through, and all I'm doing is leaving some nice color touches for when it shows through. That's it. It's not going to be anything too prominent. Look at this, it's beautiful. And we don't have to be nervous at all, because unless you care about your table getting wet, but that's fine, I don't care about that. Because we're just establishing a very gentle initial wash. That's all it is. Now, I'm going to continue pulling down the wash. I will keep it a little lighter near the tail, because it does feel like it gets a little lighter there, white, and even a bit of blue. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to grab a bit of this blue. I do find that having some strong color temperature differences can help. So here we go, just charging a bit of blue onto the tail. It may change the feeling of the bird. It may, you know, affect it a bit, but I'm fine with that. And here we go. You see, you get this nice little thing. Now, if you want to add something to it, just spray some water, keep it wet, and just take your paint and just start dipping into it. For example, here it's going to be fairly light, but it's also some lighter, almost whiter feathers. So I'm adding a bit of blue. It's a really well-known trick if you want to shade something that is white, you use blue for it. Now, if you have any questions, let me know now, because in just a moment, I'm going to let this dry. Actually, now is the moment. I'm going to let this one dry, and I'll start addressing some of the questions you may have. I'll also give you a look into the paintings I already did for the challenge. What I would usually do is use the hairdryer. I'm fine with, I may mute the video and do that, but let's let it dry naturally for a while, see what's up. So let me revisit the chat, see what else we have here that I haven't read. Not a lot. Jan Lundgren, thank you. Good morning from Manitoba, Canada. I remember a lot of your names from comments, by the way, but I never had to pronounce them, so that's the challenge. We have Omkar Zagada Art from India. We have Betty Nix, love your work. Thanks for live streams from Alabama. Marjorie Johnson noticed the hook on the bird, on the beak of the picture, predator. Fixed it, added this hook, and now we got this. Now, I want to show you up close. Hopefully it will be able to focus. Now, the colors aren't as saturated as I see it. As you see it in the camera, it actually may appear a little more blended, a little more muted, and that's fine. If you see it in real life, you'll see. If I could just take out the camera, take it to the natural light, I would show you, but it's just a bit of a hassle at the moment. But in any case, I love the colors. I think they look good. I think this blue really does help to create some interest. The focal point is obviously going to be the bird's head. And if you want to play on that, there needs to be, in my opinion, something that leads you to it. Now, if everything would have been just yellow and brown and that's it, you won't get that. But because we've added a bit of blue, there is something in addition that goes on here. This actually connects to the topic of contrasts. It's something I talked about a lot on YouTube, on the podcasts. What gives paintings this spirit and their life is the contrast, having a contrast not just in the values, but also in the colors, also in the shapes. You have large shapes, small shapes. The edges, we're going to have a very sharp bird and a very loose and blended background. Okay, all of these things matter. They add a lot. So let's see what else we have here. Then I'm going to go into the showing you some of the paintings I've done so far. Talk to you a bit about their stories. I think it's interesting. Mary C. Hagan from the UK. Laura T. What brand of paper do you use? So for the longest time, I'd use Saunders Waterford, and I really love Saunders. Let me know if you're also if you also enjoy this paper, because they stopped importing it really here to Israel. I couldn't find it as much, so I bought like 9 sheets, kept them here, have been using them for a few months even, and then I ran out. So currently I'm using Arches, whatever you want to call it. They're very similar. I would say let's do this. I'm going to put it in direct sunlight here so it dries faster. I'm going to put something else for you to look at in the meantime, which is a painting I shared yesterday. And I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. But yeah, so Saunders this is Arch. It's very similar to Saunders Waterford, honestly. The only difference is in this. I don't know if you had the same experience. It's actually worse when you buy the blocks and it has this gum around it, this tape that you rip through. I believe that's like animal based and it stinks. It really smells bad. And I'd rather not use it if I can. So yeah, it's currently Arch. I love Arch. Arch is a great brand. It's just too bad that they smell bad. And they're a bit more expensive than Saunders in my experience, and I don't get it. I don't know why. Let's see. Daiji Shinori, my friend. Good evening from the Philippines. Love your line art. Thank you so much. Samantha Vieira, good morning from New York City. Zine or Zine, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, from Rhode Island, USA. Let me know, or Shine maybe. David Figs, good morning, Liron. I'm loving the live stream. Thank you so much for joining. Lynn Fetzer, message retracted. Sorry about that. Sometimes YouTube censors comments. I don't know exactly what goes on in there. My apologies. Just send a message again or try something different. Marjorie Johnson, that's what I need to learn, those initial first washes that add interest. Yeah, and Marjorie, you'll be happy to hear that this is the easiest step, if I'm honest with you. It's the first thing that you'll be able to control really well, because it doesn't take much. All you have to do is make sure you mix enough water and paint, and use a large enough of a brush. Don't be bogged down in the small details. You can always add things wet and wet. So these are the things I'll focus on, and you can see me do it real time. Usually you see it in the videos, now you can see it real time. Pramod Jangam. Hi, Lynn Fetzer. Is your board flat or angled a bit? It was angled. I'm going to show you. What I do is I have this board, I tape the paper on it, or even if I use a sketchbook or something like this, and I just put this under it to give it a small angle. Now this is a tiny angle. I don't know, maybe 10 degrees, 15 degrees. It's a very small angle, but it goes a long way just to get a bit of flow going. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Danilo Figueiredo. Good morning here in Brazil, following your channel and admiring your art. You're awesome. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Brazil is beautiful. I've been there for 2 weeks. It was crazy beautiful. So let me show you some of the paintings I did for the challenge. We'll do this actually chronologically. Some of these I have shown you on the previous live stream, I believe. So we have this one. This was for the first day's prompt, Leaf. It's Pokemon doing an attack with its leaves, Ivysaur. So what's cool about this is that I just use watercolor. There's no pen and ink here. It's just watercolor. The thing that I realized is that I should first apply the colors and then the lines, because the lines are darker, they do get reawakened by the colors, and then you can get a bit of a runny line work. So I first apply the light colors, and then I add on top of that the line work and the shadows and all of that. So that was really fun. Let me show you another one. I'm just considering where I'll place things. I have a lot of things here. I have the iPad here, I have all of the painting stuff here, the camera up here. So here we go. Day 2 was Ridge. So with this one I took a fairly loose and impressionistic approach, as you can see, very loose. My only concern here was to just get a nice little change in values, that this area kind of fades into the background. Let's move this for a moment. This area just kind of fades into the background. It's not too prominent. It's just fun to look at. You know, you can interpret it many different ways. Sometimes I do that. Then I believe we had a prompt study. Let me just make sure I don't make a mistake. I believe it was study. Yes, day 3 was study, for which I did this study of my own face, but it was still fairly loose, fairly impressionistic, just a la prima. I love using these challenges to paint things that really do excite me and are fun for me to do. So this was really important for me. So this is that. This was day 3. Now day 4, let me make sure. I believe day 4 was Tube, and then I did this thing, which I'm very proud of. I'm gonna make sure as well. Day 4 was Tube, indeed, and you can see it here. Just a bunch of pipes. Not really a tube, but it is a tube shape. This was I think the most fun to work on. By the way, we have 79 people online. Thank you so much to anyone who joined. I really appreciate it. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll address them between layers. Right now the painting is drying. I'm going to continue in just a moment. We're drawing a predator bird. So tubes. I love this one because I do feel like I got that feeling of strong sunlight, the depth and the volume of the different objects. You can really feel it here, I believe. And look at the temperature differences. This is really key. You see, you have this contrast between these beautiful blues that are still muted, very dark, and these beautiful reds. So these are all things that really enrich the painting. Now, I'm a big fan of these rusty red colors. I really enjoy using them. Stuff like the Pyrrole Scarlet I have here on the corner. Things like this Quinacridone Rose kind of color. I'm a big fan of these colors, and also adding yellow to them, adding some burnt sienna. Just very enjoyable. Now, For the next day, I believe we had Smile as the prompt. I should probably hang a list of it here, but Smile, yes, we did. And that's that. So I'm not perfectly happy with this face. I didn't get the impression I wanted. It feels a little awkward, to be honest, to me. If you like it, I really appreciate it. I'm happy to hear. That's the part of it. You know, the challenge is about producing every day. It doesn't matter what the quality is. It's about doing and practicing. So that's that. Now a lot of people liked it. So I don't know. I like the eyes. The mouth is okay. I think the nose kind of messes things up a little. It hits that uncanny valley, in my opinion. So that's that. Now the day after that we have Zoom. Yup, Zoom and then Ripple. So Zoom. For Zoom, I did this one that you saw hopefully in the YouTube tutorial. Now I'm not showing you this because this is gonna, well, I'm gonna give you a sneak peek because you're here on the live video and I really do appreciate it. That's gonna be day 10, Saturday's YouTube video. I'm gonna show you how I painted this, which I'm very happy with. The edge control here is, in my opinion, really good, and it's a step above my usual stuff. That's what I believe. This one is for the recent YouTube video I showed you. I chose this for zoom, which funny enough, this camera has no zoom. It's just focus, whatever. The big emphasis here was also on merging the camera with the environment. And thank you for the love in the chat. I really appreciate it. I see that people enjoy seeing the paintings. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so a big part of it was to blend everything together, and also getting these lines to show some solidness. When you add these broken lines, these stronger, harsher lines, you get this focus on this surface, and it makes it look more rigid, like it has, like you can actually do this and feel it. So that's the fun balance, in my opinion, with this painting. Now, the day after that, we had Ripple, which is this one I just showed you. Now, the colors don't get through really well, but if you go to my YouTube channel and you go to the community tab, you'll see this one in the picture of the post announcing this live stream. So if you want to see it with the full colors looking really good, visit that one. And I'm going to go over some chats and we'll continue with the painting, which is like, I think it's pretty, it's decently dry. Well, let's put it here for a few more minutes. I could use the hair dryer. I'm going to figure out if I can mute myself. You know what, let's use the hair dryer just to speed things up a little. I'm going to try muting myself, and if I'm not muted, you may want to lower the volume on your headphones so that you don't get blasted. My apologies if the mute doesn't work. I'm going to try. Okay, let me know that you can hear me, and let me know if muting worked. I hope you didn't hear the hair dryer. It's a bit loud. So here we go. We got this. I watched, I believe it was Tim Wilmot painting, and all of a sudden he pulled out the hair dryer and it went like it was really loud. So I wanted to make sure I don't blast you. Let's go over some of the chats. I believe there's a strong delay with the chat, so my apologies if it takes me a long time to get to your messages. Good morning here in Brazil. We talked about, okay, Marjorie Johnson. I used doorstops to get an angle, but a roll of masking tape is so simple. Yeah, everything would work. We have these doorstops, these triangular doorstops. They're really useful. Lady T, these pipes are awesome. Thank you so much. Daiji Shinomori, I love the pipe painting. Thank you. The lighting and depth makes it look almost realistic. Yeah, from afar it really does look realistic, which I love. Let's see. Jean. Okay. Should most paintings start with a wash? Zine. Oh, okay, it's Zine. So I'm going to try and remember that. Well, I apologize in advance if I don't. What do you mean by should most paintings start with a wash? You mean like an underpainting? Not always. For example, if you look at this one, I kind of painted whatever I wanted. So I skipped the highlights and painted around it. Some of it is fragmented, some of it is connected. Every painting, and you will really learn this with time, and I'm still learning it every day. Every painting has its own thing, really its own unique thing. So yeah, by the way, how long have we been going? I'm not sure how to check, but well, it's 4:30, so 30 minutes. Great, we're great on the times. So let's see what else we have here. Betty Nix, love these. Thank you so much, Betty. Marilyn A, what is your favorite watercolor brand? Marilyn from Michigan. Thank you for the question, Marilyn. One of my most favorite brands would definitely be M. Graham, because they're soft. They re-wet really well, so M. Grahams. I really love them. This red that you can't see here, this is M. Graham. This isn't really my M. Graham palette. I have one that's dedicated to them, and they're just really nice. If you paint outside, they may stay wet for longer because they have honey in them, so you know it could be an issue. But my all-time most well-balanced brand that I use for pretty much most of my paintings is Daniel Smith. And another one I have to recommend because not everyone knows about is White Knights. White Knights are awesome. SAA are also great. I have this the pan here. I also have some tubes. White Knights are amazing. Now you can barely see because I actually use the colors, but here we go. It says here something, which I'm not sure what it says, but here it says White Knights. This is a really good one. They're cheaper. They're really good quality, and I love them. A bunch of brands, really. I use so many brands, whatever works for me at the moment, whatever I have on hand. I go by colors, specific colors. Zine, I'll have to remember that. So thank you, Marilyn, for that question. Mary C, great rust and blue colors. Thank you so much. Lynn Fetzer, love the boat painting. Pradeep Shet, pipe painting is awesome. Thank you so much. Zine, all good, no noise. Perfect, mute worked, back to sound. I can hear you now. Chris, thank you so much. Laura T, thank you so much. Chris says, I just woke up sitting here wondering what to paint for instinct. It is a challenge, but you can, that's the beauty. When it's not so obvious, you can pretty much go with whatever you want. One funny idea I had was to do a painting of Spider-Man, like doing the Spidey sense. I didn't do that because the last time was illustrative and I wanted to give you something that's actually watercolor, pure, proper watercolor. Sujanit Totempudi, hi Liron, your list of Washtober is superb. Thanks, thank you. It was just, to be honest, I produced it in like 5 minutes. I just thought about a bunch of words, wrote them down, reorganized the order to be more varied and jump between several ideas, and it was really just I had a good brainstorm real quick, and I just got it. Washington State, Chris is from Washington State in USA. Thank you so much for letting me know. Sujanit, what is your opinion on watercolor ground titanium white as surface? I don't know anything about it, sorry. Nancy G, great paintings. I want to buy that brush you're using. Ruth Cameo today, I wish she'd come. I don't know why she doesn't like to be here when I do lives. Whenever I do videos, she sits here on the sofa next to me and she's all good. I don't know. Leo Eyes, hello. Even Watercolor, hello. Thank you so much for joining. Leah's Kitchen, hi from Tiberias, better late than never. Definitely welcome. And it's not late. It's going to be a long stream, I think, so we're just going to chill together. Laura T, is there a decent dry watercolor brand already in the pens, or should we stick with tubes? Daniel Smith do pens, and they're pretty good. Schmenke is good, they do pens. White Knights re-wet really well. Their pens are really good. In fact, the black color I'm using so much in my recent videos and paintings is White Knights. It's an old one, it's from an old series. I believe it's Payne's Gray, by the way, and it's really good. So I think with that we can get started on the second wash. Now the second wash is fairly easy as well. Here's what we're gonna do. This is when we make the separation between the highlights and everything else. So we're gonna paint everything but the highlights. And if you look at the highlights, I'm gonna let you know, I'm gonna list them for you. We have this top of this wing, we have the top of this wing, we have a bit of the head here, that's a highlight, we have a bit of a light value here, we have a lot of light value here, which I should probably fix the shape because there is some darker feathers here. Basically, we're going to paint everything but, okay? This is how I'm going to approach this wash. Now, I'm wondering whether I should use the Leonard brush. I'm going to get started with that, and I may change. Now, for the colors for this wash, I'm going to keep it kind of similar. What you do want to have in mind is the more layers you add, the more it's going to lose its vibrancy and its saturation in a way. If you layer yellow on top of blue, on top of red, it's like Imagine just thin, transparent sheets of different colors, like what do you call the thing that you wrap with? Saran wrap. It's gonna lose the vibrancy. So what you want to do is continue working with saturated colors if you're aiming for continued vibrancy. If you're not, you know, whatever it is serves the purpose of the painting. I'm gonna continue because I'm still not darkening enough to mute everything. Okay, I'm still not creating a full separation between the bird and the background as well. So something to have in mind. So let's get started. A lot of people have commented about the control of this large brush, and it is true. It is a bit more challenging. To control a very large brush, especially when you paint around small shapes. It's something to practice, and if you're not perfect with it, don't worry about it. It takes time. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually, just instinctively, I decide to cool it off a bit. I feel like this is a little too warm, and I do want to darken it a bit and cool it off a bit. So, made a decision at the very same moment. That's fine. You can change your mind. You can, you know, change things up. Now here's where you have to be a little careful, because this is highlights. I hear Ruth. Let me know if it's too loud. Sorry about that if it is. Now this is the opportunity to, you can go darker now. Do a bit of wet and wet. I'm actually going to use a bit of black, which I say I don't normally use pure. I'm going to do that. I'm going to add a bit of red, and we're going to try going just a little bit darker to increase the contrast. Okay, so this is a part of it. You have to let watercolor guide you in a way and tell you what the painting needs. I know it sounds funny, but it actually works this way. And I think that's an important part, to just get started, see what happens. And I may mess this one up completely, to be honest with you. I don't know what's going to happen here. That's the risk with watercolor is, and I think the person who said it really well, and you see now I'm going with the warmer colors. The person who said it really well was Patrick Lee Greaves. He has an excellent YouTube channel, and he talked about how every painting is a risk because you don't know what you'll get unless you're uber talented. To be honest with you, like someone like Joseph Z or Alvaro Castanet, they also mess up. Everyone messes up, but unless you're that experienced, like decades, you don't know exactly what you'll get. And a big part of it is embracing that randomness, embracing that the fact that you don't know exactly if it's going to be a good result, if it's going to be a bad result, who knows. You just embrace it. Here I want to go a little warmer to contrast with the blue from earlier. So here we go. I don't see too many highlights here. I'm going to add some maybe with opaque paint later on. But in case, yeah, a big part of it is random. You don't know exactly what you'll get. You're taking a risk, and that's fine. I want to show you all of that, you know, because I see many people that post like, did this sketch today, and it's like a massively beautiful painting. It's not a sketch. Come on, you worked on it for 2 hours, 3 hours. So I want to do the opposite as well. I want to show it to you as it is. Now I'm going to switch to a bit of a smaller brush here, just to make sure that I have control. So I'm going to switch to my Escoda. I have so many brushes that I love. I need to also bring Tracy Lebenzon on. I got a few brushes of his that are excellent, and I want to share more about them with you. I should probably bring him on and do a live with it. But in case, you see, this is a very wet wash, still very flowy. We're not going to the, you know, the darkness that that's going to be final in any way. But here you have to be a little careful. So I'm gonna actually probably shut up for a few moments just to get this right here, because these are the tight spots. You want to make sure you get right, because they're going to convey the shape of the object or the subject, or, you know, the bird in this case. So this is all dark. I'm going to just talk to myself a bit. You'll forgive me. This goes a little lighter. Hey Ruth, yeah, she loves to bark in the right moments. I'm going to get rid of this. This is all going to be in the shadow. This is shadow. I'm going to add some blue because I want to preserve that beautiful contrast from earlier. Just a bit of blue. Keep that area a little bit cooler. Here we do have some highlights, so let me go at it rather impressionistically, like this. And then I'm going to bring everything together, connect whatever is still in the shadow, like that. We have a shadow here, shadow there. And we're going to go back to the large brush, because now we're good. We're good to go. And now I can talk more freely. I had to really focus on that section. That happens. I watched this book video where he does a workshop in China, I believe, when you could actually go places and he went for a moment. Shh, quiet. He needed the quiet to continue his demo. So here we go. Second wash. I really love the way this is turning out. But here we have an opportunity. Okay, this is an opportunity to add a bit more to it, a bit more energy to it. So where's the focal point? It's around here. We can add a bit more darkness, a bit of a risk, but I'm going to take the risk to at least have a teaching moment. I'm going to mix this dark mixture here. You see this is a little darker. And I'm just going to dip some of that here, okay, into the background, okay. Now, you know what? I'm actually going to change my strategy almost completely. Let's do this. I'm going to darken some sections. You see, you have to be able to make these decisions, and there's no way I can now like watch the chat or anything like that, so sorry about that. Like, there's no way I can focus on these things now. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to increase the contrast in the areas that are going to be of interest, just to keep the viewer fascinated and focus on these areas. So here we go. I'm just going to add a few touches of darkness behind the bird. Let's see. This is going to be dark, so I'm going to keep this light. This is going to be, let's go here. You see, this is going to be lighter than the background. So let's get that now. Let's get it while it's still wet and have this beautiful edge. You see, like so. See, this is going to pop against the dark background. Okay, like so. And yes, it is a risk. I'm going to help this paint spread a little, like this. But look at how much work you can get in. As long as you keep the paint wet, you don't stress too much about it, you don't worry about it too much. I could have a technical issue right now and I wouldn't even notice if the live video stops, honestly. So so it's that, you have to be that focused sometimes. But in any case, yeah, here we go. I think this will work. Let's help this paint move a bit. We're going to let this dry. Now it may look a little odd, but once it's going to dry, you will see it's just going to look really nice. Now, I will dry it with the hairdryer because I feel like it will dry unevenly and we'll get these cauliflowers here. So I'm going to use the hairdryer. Just going to mute for a moment, look at the chat messages for a while. We'll be back in. Take it easy. This was a challenging wash. Now you cannot see it. Unfortunately, you can't see it with the same vibrancy and beauty I can, but I think the relations between the colors does show, I think, well. I'm happy with how it's going. The next step would be to create the darks. Now, I'm gonna let it dry for a while. Let's see what you are writing in the chat, and then I'm going to explain the next steps, okay? It's going to be really fun. So I believe I missed Tatiana Vandik saying, just wanted to thank you for your videos. Thank you so much, Tatiana. Pradeep Shet, lovely work. Is it always better to do wet and wet watercolor works? Because I do wash wet and wet, and later I do wet and dry, like portraits and landscapes. Let's see. Better to do wet and wet. I do wash wet and wet, later I do wet and dry. Yeah, I think it's a matter of how much you want to get out of your wash. If you want to get a lot out of it, you'll exploit that moment when it's still wet. Okay, I hope that makes sense. If you want to work in very gentle glazes, you do one wash, you let it dry, you do another thin wash, you let it dry, you do another thin wash. The way I approach this right now is kind of Glazes-like, because we did an initial wash very thin, and it established the highlights. And by the way, this is really important. It's something that people sometimes struggle with. I do want you to understand. It's an important point. These areas here, we actually painted them. When we did the underpainting, we painted this. We added a bit of yellow, we added a bit of burnt sienna, we added a bit of blue here. We painted the highlights. That's what you do on the first wash. You paint the highlights. Some people just paint the highlights, and that's a very interesting, more traditional and old school approach of painting just the highlights than painting the shadows. What I don't like about it as much is that you may get these white gaps between them. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So I don't like it as much. Now, if we were to keep this initial, we would not do the initial wash. We may run into some problems because this white feels a little out of the color scheme. That's how sometimes I feel like. If you look at this, this is monochromatic. It's just black and white. So I'm fine with the white. But as soon as I add more colors to the mix, I don't always like leaving the paper white necessarily. It feels a little, it sticks out a bit. So I would go with every wash, just do as much as you can to make the most out of it. And then stop. You know, then just let it go. The beautiful part here is that we got these trees almost really wet and wet, so they blended. To continue them below, and that's the background, it's a very blurred background, it's a very strong focus on the bird, as you can see here. I'm going to use dry brush to put back the rest of them. And it's going to be beautiful because dry brush also can send things to the distance. Or I may decide not to go dry brush because dry brush can sometimes even bring things forward. What I may do is just mix a very thin light wash and just go one line and I'm done. Okay, so there are multiple ways of doing this. And hopefully that addresses your question somewhere in there. We have 100 people. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Let me know tons of questions that you have. Let me know now. I have a lot of messages that I just can't get to, and now is the time. So definitely let me know. I'll be happy to help with any question you have now. Resamin Dusleri. Hi, and I believe that S I've only seen in Turkish, so let me know if you're from Turkey. Marilyn A, thank you so much for your live videos answers. I'm happy to help. Heman Kumar, message retracted. Sorry. Sujanit, hi all presses that like, but oh yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I saw your message while I was drying it with the hairdryer. If you're enjoying this video, would really appreciate it if you hit the like button. It really helps the stream get to more people. Let's see if we even got some likes on here. I'm not even sure how to check, to be honest. I don't know, whatever. I'm gonna look later. Oh, I see, 38 likes. So if you're watching and I got you here live, drop a like because it really helps more people discover the live stream, and it's just really useful. So thank you so much. And I do know from the previous live stream, quite a lot of people have joined and subscribed to the channel. So if you're not subscribed, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe. I'm doing a lot of these. I'm going to do a lot of these live videos, more of them, so we can just talk, enjoy, hang out. I have a glass of wine here, actually, enjoying myself. But I'm taking tiny sips, so I'm fine. Still fine. Lady T, yes, I would like to learn about your new brushes. Really curious to hear your opinion. I've been contemplating purchasing, trying to decide which ones. So I'm going to show you real quick. This is a brush made by Tracy Lebenzon, 2 of these. I showed them in one of my recent videos about how to get to know and become more familiar with new brushes. They're really good, and you can actually see the types here. If someone can actually drop a link to Tracy's website, Tracy, if you're here, feel free to. I'll try and remember. I'll actually write down a note for myself. I'll remember. I'll write down Tracy here. Brushes. They're really good brushes, and I do want to do more a proper collaboration with Tracy in the near future because I'm just starting with these lives. I want to test the waters first, but I do hope to have him on. Let's see. Even the watercolors. Did you know that bird is the word? The bird is definitely the word. Laura T, good move. I would have chickened out, but that darkness really makes it pop. Yeah, and there's no reason to chicken out really because remember that, look at how much it blended while it's drying. It just kind of gotten loose. You see I have a small mistake here of something dried unevenly. That's not a big deal because once I darken this, no one will even notice this bleep here. So don't worry too much about these things, really. sometimes when we focus so much on the small mistakes, we miss the big picture. And what I would rather do is focus on the big picture, get that right, everything else works. Like, look at this beautiful transition from the yellowy warm feathers to the background. Honestly, when I see this, I think to myself, I don't want to add another wash here. I want to keep it like that. So let me know what you think of, because we already have a contrast here, what's your opinion about leaving this section as is, almost entirely, and just adding some shadow to this wing and this wing? Let me know your thoughts on this. Maybe some to the face just to attract the viewer's attention, but maybe leaving this, I don't know, just like that, because we do have a beautiful transition from that muted gray brown to this yellow, which worked out really nicely. It's all about the timing with wet and wet. Let me know. Okay, let's see, would be interested. Would it chickened out? Don't chicken out. Allison, I would be interested in your opinion on Lebenzon brushes. Normally, goat or wolf hair brushes drop hair. How do you find these? I have a lot of synthetic ones of his brushes, and honestly, they're great. Every brush will shed just a bit in the beginning. I have to say, Escoda ones and the Raphael one that I have here, this one, and the Leonard brush shed more hair than Tracy's brushes for some reason. They're really good, and I love Escoda, I love Raphael, I love Leonard, and they still shed more hair. So, you know, quite random in a way. Maybe the non-synthetic ones, the natural hair ones, will shed more. I have to test these out more in depth. Okay. Even the watercolor says I lost sound. I muted the sound. Good. Okay, I was worried for a moment. Yeah, hair dryer. Chris, lovely. I like the soft blending of colors. Thank you so much. Kubra, hi. Do you have stream schedule? Basically, the schedule is just every Thursday around 9 a.m. Eastern time, but I will change it up. I will switch it up. Maybe I'll just go spontaneously live on other days, not even video days. I want to have that freedom to just stream whenever I want. But for now, it is Thursdays around. It's 4 p.m. Israel time. It's 9 a.m. Eastern time, and I believe it's really early on the West Coast. I'm not sure. I think it's really like 4 in the morning or 5. I'm not sure. Big Boy, or maybe I'm confused, and someone here can say that I'm wrong. Big Boy Animation. Me, I prefer to use gouache. I like it more than watercolor. Just as a general medium, I get it. I like everyone connects to a medium, I think, in a way that's above the rest, and for me it's definitely watercolor. I get it if it's not. Aaliyah's Kitchen. I'm going to skip Artuber vlogs by now because I'm not sure what it means. Let me know, send another chat. Leah's Kitchen. Very new things in nature are, very few things in nature are pure white. Definitely. White is a color that gets so influenced by the environment. If I were only to hold this one and hold this next to it, it already warms it up, you see? Just this red reflects back on this one. It's so common. If I'll do this, some of the green will bounce off of the white. It's something to be aware of. You won't find a lot of white, indeed, in nature. Let's see. Susan Hess, did you intentionally want the blossoms in the painting? So, if you refer to these small dots, that happens when you use the water sprayer a little too late, once things are a little too dry. Once it falls into context with the next layer, and I'm going to darken things up, you won't even notice it. So you'll see it's a very interesting experience. You will see how it works. But yeah, it's not a big deal. It wasn't intentional. I would have preferred if I would do this earlier, just spray a little earlier, but it's not a big deal. So yeah. Sujanit, Big Boy, why do you like more gouache? We'll see what he says, or she says, they say. Golden Morrison, have you ever painted scales in watercolor? Scales like fish or dragon scales? I don't think I ever did it. Could be interesting to try it out. It sounds very hard because of the reflections and stuff like that. Franco Forleo, 39. Oh, that's the number of likes? Well, thank you for letting me know. If you're here, if you have not liked this live stream, just hit the like button. It really helps me reach more people. I'm going to do many more of these lives, so thank you so much. Pradeep Shet, thank you, Liron, for the answer. I'm a big fan of your videos as I get a lot to learn. Thank you very much. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Priyanshu Pratik, hi, thank you for joining. John Sobek, looking forward to seeing more. Chris De Bruyne, it's 6 a.m. No wine for me. Yeah, definitely. That's not the time for wine. Marjorie Johnson, have you tried Rosemary and Co brushes? Love the real hair brushes, along with Isabey and Da Vinci. I have heard of Rosemary. I have heard of Isabey. I obviously have heard of Da Vinci. Have not tried any of them. I still need to. I need to get more into brushes for sure. I have a lot of catching up to do on brushes in particular, just to try out a lot of different brands. I almost had a collaboration with Da Vinci. At one point we were talking about it, but it never panned out. Maybe in the future. Odi Panda, hi from Switzerland. Thank you for your videos. Thank you. Itamar Shani, which it's written in Hebrew, so most of you cannot read this. Hey, I love from Israel. I love painting architecture in watercolor. Thank you so much. תודה, איתמר. מעריך את זה. אני מת על אדריכלות. Let me, if you want me to talk in Hebrew, you won't understand a thing, unfortunately. But it's always funny for me to hear Jewish people that don't live in Israel speak Hebrew. It's just so fun to listen to that, like the way you pronounce things. Chris De Bruyne, do I think it dries differently when using hairdryer versus, do you think it dries differently when using hairdryer versus drying naturally? Yes, when you let this thing dry naturally, the painting has more time for a gap to be created. So you'll have more time in which this is fully dry, but here, because I had a small pool, it's still wet. When you use a hairdryer, it all dries much faster. There is less time for cauliflowers and backgrounds to be created. So if you feel like you, first off, you can always use a brush. You can just use a brush to pick up the excess paint. I showed this multiple times. You just use it like a sponge. So if you have this pool of paint here, all I have to do is dry it on the towel here and just pick it back up. You see? I just pick it back up. So you could do always that, but because it's such a large area, I wanted to use a hairdryer, and it does influence it. Yes, I do recommend using it if you're having a problem with uneven drying. Laura T, leave it. So you say leave that transition. I will. Marjorie Johnson, that's me. Those little blooms, blobs become way too aggravating. I need to focus on the big picture. Yes. Do that, it will really help. Leah's Kitchen, this is a beautiful section. Pity to lose it. I agree. I'm going to darken very sparingly. I'm going to darken just some parts of it, keep it still flowing. I've been having a lot of fun doing that lately. If you've seen with this painting, you can see it. With this one, you can see it. Just letting it flow together. It's something I've been really enjoying. Here, you don't see as much of that. Here, I'm really bold and just going at it. Here we go, sorry. Now you can see. But with these ones more loose around the edges, I will do that. Let's not lose that beautiful edge. Just details in the head and the claws, definitely will do that. 4 a.m. in Hawaii. That's, oh yeah, so I was close. Wow, I was close, 4 a.m. Here was 7 a.m. Moose Life American, I have the same palette, love it. Have you used the porcelain palette? I've never used a porcelain palette. For anyone who doesn't know, you obviously know because you have that same palette. This is a Magello 18 wells. It's a Korean company, Magello. They're really good. I got this after watching Steve Mitchell from The Mind of Watercolor. Same for the water bucket. Let me, oops, move the light. Let me try and show you the water bucket. This is also a Magello. Looks terrible, probably. This is just, I changed them yesterday. I promise. Usually I change them like every month. Whoopsie. But in any case, here we go. So these two are Magello. It's a great brand. I really love them for these things. I have not tried a porcelain palette before. A lot of people recommend them. I may try it. Itamar Shani, sorry for the retracted message. Wistemd, thank you for the thumbs up. Lady T, have you ever used water-soluble graphite? I have it here. I've never used it. I should. I have a lot of things I want to try. I'm so, narrow-minded in my lane sometimes that I do miss out on stuff. And sorry for that. So I do want to expand. I do want to try out some things I've never tried before. I hope to do. By the way, I just figured out on the OBS software, which I use to live stream, I just figured out how to see how long the live stream is, and it's going to be an hour long in just 30 seconds. So thank you so much to anyone here. I really appreciate your time, and I hope I can entertain you. That's the goal here. Franco Forleo, thank you for Washtober. And I'm sorry that I pronounce things kind of American. Forleo, it may be Forleo. I find that in Hebrew, talking about Hebrew, we pronounce things more similar to the original pronunciations. English is a language that has, and you should probably know that, more changes to the pronunciation. For example, when you say O, there's a W there. In Hebrew, we just go O, so kind of like Japanese, which is interesting to think about. By the way, if you want me to continue the painting now, like if you're bored by what I say, let me know. Okay, I'm just flowing off the chats because it is interesting. So yeah, we pronounce things a little. We tend to pronounce things a little closer to the original languages in a way, because American English has a lot of that O and I. The sounds are very exaggerated in a way, but we're so used to it that we don't even think about these things. You know, it's just how you pronounce an O. But actually, a lot of languages go O, so it's very interesting. Franco, sorry, it took me an hour to get to the question. Thank you. Thanks for Washtober. It's made me pick up a brush every day so far. Perfect. And everyone, don't be too self-judgmental if you miss a day or two. What I love to do if I miss a day is just to combine the prompts. Do 2 a day. That works really nicely sometimes. And creativity is at the essence here. So just be creative. It's not a big deal if you miss a day. Not the end of the world. Is it true that restlessness or speed painting in watercolor as a medium is counterproductive in oil painting? I think restlessness is counterproductive in any case. I think you want to be really into the process, whatever that means to you. If it's being very high energy, go for that. If it means being cool and calculated, go for that. Whatever works for you. Speed painting, I think very often people paint way too fast. And I talked about this in the previous live. Go slower and more deliberate, and more deliberate when the time is right, and go faster when the time is right. There's different stages to it. Sometimes you want to be fast and punchy and get that wash in if it's a large one, and sometimes you want to just take things a little slower and be calculated, especially for the details. And you saw me go silent for this area, so just to have that in mind. Let's see. Wisdom, ever tried Chinese brushes? I actually have one here and I played around with it. I should definitely do more of that. Let's see. Yeah. Hopefully I will do that. It has something in it here, in the hairs. I don't know what it is. But in any case, I will take it out later. But I do want to do more of that because it's very loose and fun. Like, obviously, I can do the final details with that as well, even though it comes to a nice tip, I will admit. But yeah. Chris the Brand, I love Hebrew, so maybe I'll speak more Hebrew. John, hey Liron, so sorry to have to go now, but thank you for keeping it alive. Please check DM. I saw the DMs, I saw them as a notification. My friend, thank you so much. I will answer as soon as I can. Sujanith, why are brush strokes not so important in watercolor, unlike oil painting? To be honest, I'm not sure that's true. I keep hearing about how the brush marks and how you make them it's important in oils, maybe because they are more visible. So the difference with watercolor is if I put a paint here and then here, they'll merge together, okay? And that's really important to everyone. You may want to tune in. I don't know if people's questions, hopefully they interest everyone. I'm just saying, if you put a mark here and a mark there and they touch, as long as it's still wet, they'll blend together. This is what I love about watercolor. But if you let it dry, you'll see the visible brush marks. Now in oils, you will always see them unless you blend it with a brush that's meant for blending. So the technique for applying the paint maybe becomes a little more important. But I would argue that it's important in watercolor as well, just for a different reason. Because you want to get the shapes correctly, or you want to get a flow correctly. So you add the element of timing to the brush marks, okay? That's my take on it. Susan Hess, thank you. I actually like blossoms. Christine Bourgeois, hello from Minnesota. Thank you so much. I've learned so much from you. I've been painting every day in Washtober. Awesome. I'm so happy. That's the goal of the challenge. Laura T, I took linguistics in college and one of the language classes was Hebrew. I didn't last a week. It's a beautiful language, just way too difficult for me. So one of the problems with Hebrew is that, you know, there's always the rule and then the exception to the rule, and every language has its rules. The beautiful thing about Japanese is that the rules, you don't have a lot of exceptions. You learn the rules, and then it's all about applying them. And things are pretty much constant in that regard. Hebrew is like the negative of that. It's the worst in that regard. There are so many exceptions to every rule. There are more exceptions than rules. I feel lucky to have learned it from like as my mother language, because otherwise it would be difficult. I don't know why I would want to learn it if I was Israeli, but in any case, you know, it is really hard. Arabic is interesting because we have so many words that are the same, and I'm actually half Iraqi. I grew up listening to my grandparents talk Iraqi Arabic all the time, so I can understand pretty much everything. If I listen to someone with the Iraqi tongue of Arabic, I can actually understand pretty much everything. Maybe I forgot a few words from since I was a kid, but I have it embedded in me. And it's also similar in that regard. There are a lot of exceptions there. These languages are closely related. Let's see, Chris says that they have a porcelain palette and they love it. Anupam Sharma, worst painting ever I've seen. Well, thank you. Chris De Bruyne, Washtober also has also helped me. Thank you. I'm really happy to hear that. Really. I'm enjoying all of this. I wrote down the prompts. Sujanith, this painting is not completed. Honestly, I could stop now and I'd be like, that's a perfect painting. I don't know. That's just me, maybe. So we're going to take a break from the chat, go back to this, and let's plan our strategy together. Let me tear the reference from the wall once again. Okay, so this is what we got. Now the question is, obviously this is a major point of interest around the face. It's really fun to show the painting, you know. I should do this more. Whenever I'm filming, I'm always a little nervous that it's gonna be a long video or I'll have to edit it later on. It's really nice with the lives. It's a really good plus to making this one live. I can just take my time. The video is on YouTube already. So you see, this shape here, this is really important. I want to focus on that. Now, there are some size limitations. Obviously, I'm not painting very large. It's a small piece of paper. What is it, like 7 or 9 by 9 inches? I'm not sure. I'm really bad with inches, but it's small. If you want to know the size, we'll measure later. But in any case, I don't have enough room to get every small detail in, and that's fine. So we're just going to focus on the gist of it. This area, some of this wing, I think, maybe some details around the claws, and that's it, and maybe some dry brush to the background. Let's try it this way, see how we do. Because we did such a good job, I believe, on this first and second washes, we don't need to go too far. So I'm going to switch to a smaller brush, obviously. And we'll get started. So I see a bit of a stronger shadow here on the face, and then it gets a little darker on the belly and the main part of the body. So let's start with a fairly weak blue. Let's go with a bit of blue because it does feel a little cool over there. Let me think about it. Neutralized blue. And I'm gonna go fairly light, okay? So here we go. I'm gonna get that beak and that shadow right around the eye, going over the eye. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Well, it goes like this. And here, I'm gonna switch to a bit of a, yeah, you know what, let's stay with the same size. And I'm gonna darken things up a little. Now you wanna work a little faster because the paint is, it's a little darker, so it flows less, it dries faster. You want to make sure you don't lose the momentum. So here we go, we're directing the viewer's focus to that. But I want to stop before this transition. So we're going to have a challenge here. I'm letting you know now. So what I'm going to do is with this edge, I'm going to blend it onto the wing, like so, and keep it like that. You see? This is a very specific, loose take on the way this bird looks, and I may be mistaken in doing it that way, but we won't know unless we try. So that's my approach here. If you take anything from this, live stream, is that don't worry yourself too much on that. Give it a try. Try a few things, see what works. I'm fine with darkening this shadow around here, but this should also be dark. So here we go, like that. Darken the claws here, the arm or the leg reaching for the claws. This gets a little lighter around the claws. This I'm going to switch to a lighter value, And a lot of it is just I'm testing it out. I don't know what will happen exactly. I have no idea. But I'm testing it out and I'm seeing what works, okay? So here we go. Now, I'm going to continue with this all the way to the feathers of the tail. I'm just going to darken one or two and that's it. The rest I'm going to leave as is. You see, I'm actually pretty happy with this. I'm going to leave this section for now as is. Now let's move on to this left side. And for this, so we have a strong red here that I would like to preserve. So let's start with a baseline of red, okay? And a bit of yellow, maybe turn it a bit orange. Maybe even a bit of Pyrrole Scarlet. Let's try it out. Let's see what we get. And I'm going to get started. We'll see how this works. Because I do want to show some of the actual body of the bird. Obviously, I can't blend all of the wings together with the background. So, feathers. Now, this is not a small space. So what we're going to do is add yellow. Okay? Why? What I want to do is actually keep it varied because, again, this is a large space, and if I'm just going to put in a flat color, it may end up being a little too boring. So I'm varying it like so. Here we go. And this works nicely, I think. Now here the feathers get a little closer together, so we go like this. Sorry if I'm obstructing the light. So I'm gonna move my hand in just a moment. Like so. Here we go. See? Now, we could blend some part of it, but I actually like that the wing is showing fully. So let's keep it as is. But I do want to do one thing. Let's do some wet and wet onto that of some blue. Now I'm going to spray some water on it to make it a little lighter. This is a magic trick for you. If you just add a bit of water, it can lighten things up just a bit. Let it breathe. I'm going to add a bit of this. Let me know if you have any questions on what I'm doing, and I'll address them as soon as I'm able to focus again. Now, it may seem a little too dark, and it may be, but I'm going to keep it like this because the top part is a little darker. Messed up this shape a bit. That's fine. And you see the yellow is fairly opaque, so it obstructs some of the paints that I'm adding on top, but you can still see some of them. It's just a thing to have in mind, okay, when you do these things. So here we go, just a few touches. And I think I'm going to do this here, like that, to increase the contrast with the head. And I think, honestly, that will be it. Now you can spray a bit more water on it. It will help it move and blend together, like so. And there we go. One wing is done. I'm going to leave it as is. Now again, the result here, I'm not aiming for realism to be fully painted exactly the same. So, and when we have that freedom, I mean, if I were to work on this realistically, like my goal was to make this like photorealistic, I admit I won't be able to do it on video. I think I would need to do it in my peace and quiet and, you know, have my time to really work on it. So just a thing to have in mind. It is hard. It is hard to get a very realistic result. Let's go over some of the chats real quick, and then I'll continue with this wing, and we'll wrap it up, I think. With this, some details on the claws, and we're done. I love how this area kind of blends together. And by the way, let me give you a closer look. I think this really does express how the feathers are lighter around the head, and then it goes a little darker around here. This is something I'm very happy I caught onto and I was able to locate. And I'm compromising. I'm not going darker here for the purpose of the entire thing. I'm compromising on a small macro element to get the whole thing to work beautifully. Okay, so another thing to have in mind. You do these compromises, it's actually a really good insight now that I think about it. And sometimes, again, if you're so caught up in, wait, but this leg is darker, you lose the fact that this contrast is beautiful and you may want to preserve it. Okay, so have that in mind. So I see a lot of people found Washtober useful, so that's great. I'm so happy to hear. Chris De Bruyne. English also has tons of exceptions. I've been told it's difficult to learn. Yes, you'd be surprised at just how much more exceptions we have in Hebrew. You have no idea. I know this because I've heard someone talk about it once, comparing the two languages. So yeah. Sean Fella says, Hebrew is like the Gallic language, beautiful and ancient, and with lots of exceptions to the rules. Definitely. Ian, how are you, my friend? Hi, all, I'm just doing today's prompt. That's cool. Share it with me. Let me know. I'll try and share it. I'm trying to share as many of the people's prompts as I can. I just have tons of work, so I'm logging into Instagram, sharing, going out. Message retracted. Chris says, I have to go back to work now. Thank you for the lesson. God bless. Thank you so much for joining. I will see you in the next live, hopefully in the next video. And when you watch this, maybe after the fact, if you enjoy it. Marjorie Johnson, I've watched you from the very first YouTube videos. Of all the people on YouTube, your journey has been impressive. Growth is astounding. I'm painting along, watching first washes, mellow surprise. Thank you so much. Marjorie, I really do appreciate it. I know quite a lot of people have been here from day one. And it's really fun to share the growth and to show that this is possible. You know, when I started with watercolor, I was really, really bad. I was really. Same with drawing. You know, when I look at stuff I drew when I was 15, I thought I knew what I was doing, and even later, like, there's a lot to learn. Leah's Kitchen, that wing is gorgeous, the red one. Thank you so much. Kajal Death, good session, but value the time of others. Time is very precious to everyone. This is too lengthy. Yeah, the live streams are going to be long, so I apologize about that. It's not meant for if you want to just get the lesson real quick and do it, so I will apologize in advance. These sessions are going to be long. I want to feel the freedom to talk as much as I want. I will try and do quicker ones, maybe if that's something that a lot of people will want. Let me know if you're interested in something that's more like straight to the point. Do the first layer, do the second layer, wrap it up. Let me know. I'm definitely open to it. Police Art, I'm working on Watts Atelier Challenge, ink with Watts while I watch. That's cool. I'm not familiar with it, so feel free to let me know more details about it. There's so much to learn out there, really. Golden Morrison, what is your recommendation for a good but cheap watercolor paper? That's when it's really hard. I don't have a recommendation for a good but cheap watercolor paper. I can recommend anything cheap, but not paper, unfortunately. Brushes. Brushes aren't that expensive if you get one that's good and lasts for a few years, for a few long years, hopefully decades. Silver, black velvet are relatively cheap. Paints, I have a lot of recommendations. Paper is a little tricky. If you're just doing sketches and quick work, you could go even with an Excel watercolor block or pad or sketchbook. They are much cheaper, and the quality is decent if you do like 2 to 3 layers, but if you want to start lifting and blending and doing complex stuff, it may be a problem. It's the XL watercolor, either sketchbook or notebook. It's really cheap. It's very cheap. You could even go with the sketchbook, and it does take to watercolor. Well, okay, it's spilled wine. It does work kind of okay. I used it a few times, and I did like paintings with one wash. Maybe you can use it. Feel free to try it out. It's like $6 for a 90 pages small sketchbook, so you know it's worth it. Other than that, not really, unfortunately. Sorry about that. If I hear something, I'll let you know for sure. Let's see what else we have here. Need an address to mail you stuff when possible with COVID. It actually is possible to mail stuff here. If you have a problem, I shipped a few paintings and they take forever to get there. I don't know why. It's just really bad. I can see that they left Israel and they're waiting to be picked up, for example, by the USPS, but they haven't yet been. So apologies about that. Send me an email, again, to liron@lironian.com, and I'll be happy. I'm going to write the email again in the chat, liron@lironian. You can even find it in the channel details. And just send me an email. I'll let you know what address to send stuff to. Thank you so much. Daiji Shinomori, I've yet to come to get back to watercolor again. I confess I don't plan my colors ahead of time as I should. I need to learn what colors that I need, how to fix and blend, etc. Yeah, it takes time. Plenty of skills, a lot of things to learn. Take your time with it. You know, don't worry about it too much. Mark Spall, thank you. I'm happy I could help. Deep Divinity, message retracted. Sorry about that. even the watercolor. I like these lives a lot, and I don't mind the length. On the contrary, I think that someone that takes so much time to teach us is actually values our time a lot. I actually try to value people's time, and I know that you have the the ability to run these videos at, you know, double speed, 1.25 speed. I am trying to keep them more succinct. If you compare my older videos to my recent videos, I have been becoming much faster in the intros and outros. I'm trying to cut the fluff, most of it, out. But I just think really live videos aren't meant for that. I'll be honestly way too nervous to do one that's like really fast. I have to take my time with it. Deep Divinity, just found you. We'll go back and check out the previous videos. Thank you so much for your tip. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you for joining the channel, and many more of these to come. Laura T, don't worry about the length. People who don't like it can watch it later and fast forward. Exactly. My thoughts. Daiji, I do appreciate these live paintings and drawing sessions because there's so much to learn in the process of creating. Indeed. And I think the added bonus is I can actually share my thoughts real time. It's the same when I film a video. I can share real time what I'm doing, why I'm doing, and that's a really good thing. When I record and then narrate, it's a little different. I can share with you, I wanted to do this, oh, I decided to do that. I think this is really useful. We'll get to this wing in just a moment. I'm just going to wrap up the chats. Jan Lundgren, thank you so much for the video, Liron. I'll watch it over again. I've been working on a raven in much the same pose. That's really cool. So you can really take the tips from here and use them. I like longer live videos. I enjoy the chatting and you answering questions along with painting. Thank you so much, Lady T. Lola NP36, shadows are hard for me. I just noticed you have a book on subject. Yeah, I do. More on sketching, but yes, it's less about watercolor. Laura T, 100% agree with Eve. Thank you so much. Polly's art. Yeah, I used the black velvet and Pentel aquash. Pentel, I believe I have one here actually. Is this the one you have? Is this a Pentel aquash? Or maybe it's a generic one, I'm not sure. But yeah, I love the silver black ones. They're really nice. Ian Jackson, my live videos are 2 hours long as most paintings take that time with bits of chat. Yeah, I knew that it's going to be around 2 hours. I had a feeling. Also, Ian, non-cotton paper good is bulking for 300 GSM. Thank you for the recommendation. I haven't tried it, but I heard about it. Alison, don't worry about the length. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Can watch later if time pressing. Thank you so much. Marjorie, in 1964, I bought a watercolor brush that cost me a week's wages. I've taken care of it and I'm still using that wash brush. Amazing. What brand? Tell me. P.S. I also used it to paint windows in a large restaurant, house paint. Wow. So you used it for other things, like not just for watercolor? P.S. That brush pulled a perfect bead. No masking, no wiping. Cool. Varindra, how are you? Hey Liron, congratulations for Washtober. Great idea, thank you. Theresa Roth, great conversation, thank you so much. Leslie Kahn, can you repeat the chat time? I missed the start. What do you mean chat time? I'm not sure, but you can watch the whole thing. I'm going to keep it on YouTube and you'll be able to watch the full video. So if that's a concern, let me know if that's what you meant. Okay, now to solve the final problem here, and by the way, I spilled some. It's not wine, I believe it's paint, my bad. We have two things to take care of. One is the claws. That's pretty straightforward, to be honest with you. It's just the claws. I'm going to put them in. It's just a dark paint. The real issue is this wing. In here it goes to show you the creativity that is required. So, a few things. A few assumptions. We want to keep this area intact. Okay, I want to show this transition. I do love that this area is fairly light and we can contrast it with another dark wing. But here comes the idea of contrast in a macro level. Okay, I could get a dark contrast here, but I already have it here. So let's zoom out for a second and think about it. Let's do something here that is different from this one, but still has a bit of darkness. So what does all of this add up to? I'm gonna let you think about it for like 3 seconds. Okay. It adds up to this. I'm going to darken this wing, but I'll keep it much lighter than this wing. So we get a contrast between the two wings. We get a contrast with the background. Let's even go a little cooler here because, for two reasons. Contrast it with the warmth here, and contrast it, and because it's around the edges of the painting. So it's going to mirror this edge. I may be mistaken. Let's try it out. So I'm going to start with, you know what, let's actually do this. I'm going to start with a little more blue around here, and then I'm gonna go yellow here, and then I'm gonna just blend it onto something that's very light. Let's give it a try. Let's see how it goes. It's gonna be an adventure. And yeah, live posts. I will definitely keep this video up, Leslie, if that's what you mean. Let's see. So I'm gonna start with some cool colors. So a bit of blue. Let's add a bit of sap green. I don't know why. Let's see what we got here. This is a nice color. I'm gonna add a bit more blue and then we'll go for it. But lighter than the other side, okay? So a bit more water because it's fairly dark. Now I love this transition, so yeah, you know what? Let's drop a shadow there. Let's go at it like this. You know what? Let's try. Let's go like that. See? Let's go with a bit of a flowy look. Do the same here. Here I'm going to be a little more literal with the feathers down below. And I'm going to add some warmth now. So let's go with a purer yellow. Maybe even a bit of red for the warmth. Like this. Get that nice little smooth transition. And because I want to preserve that, look at what I'm going to do. I'm taking some paint, some water, sorry. My brush just has some water, wiping off some of it. And I'm just going to help this paint move while becoming lighter. And I, in fact, preserved the left side of the wing, like so. Now I do feel like I want to keep this section a little darker just to show that there is still a shadow there. But I think this will be it for this wing. Okay, now let me do this. Let me blend some of this a bit and also some of that. Now a good trick, if you don't get a perfect blended edge, you take a bit of a paper, you just go like this. You see? Very lightly. And we're done with this wing. I'm going to leave it like that. This part is done. 90% of the painting is done. Claw, eye, we're done. Okay, so I'm going to switch to a smaller brush yet again, believe it or not. Let's use this one by Tracy. Okay, so let's start with the eye. That's pretty straightforward. I'm going to mix a neutral color. And now look, I'm not going to mix it here. Why? Because I want a very dark color. If I'm going to try and overpower this wet wash with a dark color, it's not going to happen. So what I do is I mix on a new area. Okay, I mix here. So it's going to be outside of the frame. Sorry about that. Actually, let's do this. Let's do that. And you'll be able to see some of it. Okay, so I want to add a bit of red because I feel like I want that warmth here. Now let me show you. I'm going to look at the value and just go like this. Do this circle around the eye. And look at how slow I go. Do the pupil. And I believe this is it. Let's switch to a bit of a larger brush again. Make this area just a little larger. Make the eye a bit rounder. Edge of the beak a little darker. See? Like that. And I'd argue that this is good. I don't need to do anything else. I could add just a bit of darkness here under the eye because I do see it like so. That's it. Keep it, keep it a little abstract. I'm fine with that. I'm just gonna blend some of the edges. Here we go. Perfect. Eye done. You know what? Let's blend it the other way as well. I'm gonna move this shape a little closer to the left, just like that. Perfect. Now, onto the claws, okay? Some more of this darker paint. Let's see here. And thank you so much for the kind comments. I really appreciate it. And thank you for the criticism as well. I really appreciate that as well. Helps me improve for future videos. So you see here, there we go. Claw, claw, claw. This is fairly straightforward. You can see them well. Let's try something. Let's pick up some pure blue and use that to perhaps shade some of the, like the legs themselves that lead to the claws. See, like this. Like so. Fairly happy with that. I know the quality isn't the best. Like, this is a webcam. It's not the same as my normal camera. Sorry if you can't see the details. And yeah. And I believe to be honest with you, I think this is done like almost 100%. One thing I do want to add is maybe a tree in the background, like just continue this. So let's do that. In fact, let's start with the right section and then we can make this contrast even more interesting. So, because here we already have a contrast. Here we can tell the difference between the wing and the background. Here we'll use that to obstruct the tree. So you'll see, it's going to be really cool. Ruth is barking. But she can't enter because the door is closed. We're not going to have a cameo today, I think, as well. Sorry about that. Now here comes the dry brush. Dry brush is hard. It's not easy. So what am I going to do? Test it. I'm going to test it heavily. So let's take this piece of paper once again. And you see that's way too much flow. That's not dry brush. And sorry I erased Tracy's note. I'm going to add it again. Otherwise, I will forget it. I promise you, so I'm going to write it down here. I have to write these things immediately after. So, picking up more paint here on the left, let's get another piece of test paper. I'm actually really happy with how this one's turning out. And I hope you are as well. And you see, now we're starting to get that effect. So let's try it out. I'm going to use the side of the brush and continue one of these trees. So let's just do this thing here. See, okay, so it's not fully dry brush. I'm fine with that. I do feel like it's a little too strong, so let's go like this. Good. Now, to justify that, let's make this part a little stronger as well. So we actually can see where it comes from, like that. Okay, like this. I'm gonna have to focus so that I don't destroy anything. Now, let's add a bit of a branch here. Like so. I'm gonna get rid of some of it like that. Hopefully that's not too strong of a contrast. I'm gonna add one more and then we'll be done. And this one I'm gonna make sure that it barely leaves a mark. So I'm gonna get rid of all of the excess paint on the brush. Let's do this. I'm gonna rotate it and go like this. You see? Just a couple of trees. To get the message across that there is a forest behind. That's pretty much it. And you know what? I think we're done. Now, if you want to loosen some of these up, you can go like this. Once again, this is like a magic trick for everything. And then you can use even this just to scrub out, make it a little lighter where you want to. But I think this is done. I really like this. Now, what's nice about these lines is that they break the horizontal composition because of the wings. You get now something vertical. You just have to make sure you don't go too strong. Like, for example, I feel like here I went a little too strong. Let's try and get rid of some of that. May not be able to fully, but you see, just lightening it up a bit can go a long way. And now let's sign it. I'm going to remove the tape together. We're going to enjoy this one. I'm going to just let it dry for a few more moments before I remove the tape so that it flattens fully. That's how I usually do it. I'm just going to sign this, address some of the chats, and we'll remove the tape and wrap it up. So let's see. Here we go. And this is actually a good thing. I should probably say, like, stay till the end to watch me remove the tape, because I know that's the kind of thing that people do want to see. Final result without the tape. So stay till the end. And I really do appreciate it. And if you're in a hurry, you know, check out, come back later. Obviously, I will share this in other places. So, now I'm trying to figure. Very often I sign too fast, and then I end up realizing I did want to add something. But in this case, I'm fairly happy. So here we go. So hopefully we can see that. Very happy with the final result. I think there's a good contrast here between edges, strong, harsher edges, looser, more blended edges. I like this section a lot. Trees may be a little too aggressive, but I'm actually fine with that. I'm actually fine with them. Let's see what you write here and address that, remove the tape, wrap it up. Congratulations, Washtober, great conversation. So can we repeat? Oh, not too many messages. Julie Williams. Really enjoy your live presentation. Thank you, Julie. Marco Bermudez. Good morning, Liron. You have inspired me to start learning watercolor. Thank you. Thank you. Like that's the thing that every day it's a huge encouragement. It's my vision. My long-term goal is just to be able to inspire as many people as I can. I know the rest is taken care of, like the career around it, the money, the everything. That's just the main thing, really. Every day I read to myself, like, that's the thing I want to do, and I remember and I re-remember, and these kinds of comments really help. So thank you so much, Marco. I really appreciate it. Leslie, thanks for doing this. Love your teaching. Love live action with Liron. Thank you. That should be a hashtag. Live action Liron. Lady T, absolutely gorgeous. Thank you for so much for sharing. Thank you so much, Lady T. Thank you for joining. Marjorie Johnson, have a great day, evening to all. Bye. This wasn't this great? Yes, hopefully it was. I will talk to you hopefully soon, Marjorie. John Sobek, have to go. Thanks for the loosening tips. Thank you so much. Itamar, Shani, amazing live stream. Love the vibe and the sense of community. Toda, which is thank you in Hebrew. Can we see it without the tape? Yes, I will remove the tape in just a few moments, I promise. Donna Bowman, great video. Ian Jackson, great job. Ana Mulhall, gracias desde Argentina. Cool. Sandy Asteroid, this was fun. Thanks for doing these. Daiji Shinomori, love the result. I like the looseness and the subtle suggestion of the details. This is something I aspire to be able to do. Adrian Yu, looks amazing. Ritu P, love the final result. Ian Jackson, I have to get prepped for my day 8 painting. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. If you have any last kind of questions, do that. I'm gonna respect your time and, sorry, I should mute. I'm gonna mute, dry real fast, remove the tape. Okay, I'm back. Moment of truth. Now you see what happened was before I dried it, it was just at a bit of an angle, but now it's perfectly flat. That's all you need. A bit of a hairdryer session and you're good to go. Now I do want to make sure you see everything, so let me set the palette aside. There we go. So let's remove the tape. Best moment for many people. We'll do it slowly. Then I'll look at some of the messages you sent, and we can wrap it up and be merry for the rest of the day. So here we go. One side, two sides. Hopefully it didn't run through the tape. Usually it doesn't happen. Here we go. 3 and 4, and here we go for the final result. Actually makes it look smaller for some reason, but this is it. Without the tape, I find that paintings that actually fill the entire background look much better without the tape. I wish I could show you like a better quality of it, because if I get it closer, it just doesn't really make a huge difference in the focus. It's something I need to learn how to fix, but hopefully you do get the impression of what this one looks like, and obviously I will share it in just a few moments actually on Instagram. Be sure to check that out, Liron Yan IL. I'm gonna write it down just to make sure if you're not following there, Liron Yan IL. I will also share it in the YouTube community tab so you can see the final result. And before we wrap it up, I just want to really thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. I can't take it from for granted because I saw Polly's art message and made me laugh. It's just amazing that we're able to chat here, and thank you so much. If you want to bail out now, do it. I'm gonna go over the last couple of comments, see if we have anything interesting, and then we'll wrap it up. Polly's, I like when I inspire people to do it too. It's like, it's good, but I think I can do better. That's funny. Eccentrics 2, love the result. Thank you so much. Leah's Kitchen, this is a fantastic live stream. Keep it up. I will do. Polly's Arts, yeah, baby, take it off slow. Ian Jackson, do you ever use bulldog clips to hold paper down? So, Ian, I actually have some handy here, and I do use them, especially with sketchbooks. I find that I have to hold the paper together, especially for Plein-Air where paper flies all over the place. Even the watercolors just started painting. Thank you once again, even though you don't know the bird is the word. Well, I do know that the bird is the word. Why like this? Daiji Shinomori, it's beautiful. Thank you so much. Sandy Asteroid, awesome. Jay, Diane, Sherwood, looks great. Great lesson. Leslie Kahn, do you tape in the sketchbook too? I don't, depending on the sketchbook. Usually I don't tape it. I'll just use the bulldog clips to grab some of the paper together. Let me actually show you. If you look here, you'll see where the clip was. Here and here. I just paint around it. Because sketchbooks are meant for fun and maybe, you know, painting a little looser, it's nothing perfect, even though I love the results. I really do. I do think it's fine to just clip the side. If you do want to end up, you know, framing it or something, you just cut it, leave enough gap, cut it, and frame it. It's not a big deal, in my experience. Triveni Praveen, wow, that looks amazing. Thank you, Nancy, great time. So I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much once again for joining. Keep posting your Washtober works. Keep me updated. I am trying to share as many as I can. A big part of doing these live videos is so that I can address your questions, answer them. Honestly, I felt for the longest time very guilty for not being able to get to all messages, and it sucks. I don't want to feel that. And this is just a good way to, you know, if you ever send me a message on Instagram, I answer all first messages, but then it's a little harder to answer. One thing I do once in a while, is I'll send voice messages just because it's faster. So if you ever got a voice message from me, it's just because I go over them and I just record real quick, send, record real quick, send. It's just more efficient. But this here is a great place to do that. And hopefully I'll be able to. I am trying to as much as I can. Obviously, if there's going to be more people, more chat, it's going to be a little more difficult, but we will get it to work. Okay, I promise I will do my best. And that's it. Thank you so much. I'm going to wrap it up now. Take care, keep creating, stay safe and healthy wherever you are. And I'm just grateful to have you as a follower. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon.